No problem. Okay, so Amida, you've obviously got to question 5.3. Can you see that it's asking you for the domain of the inverse? Do you see that? Yes. Okay. So because we have reflected over the line y equals x, all right, that's fine, Isaiah. I'll explain that to you as well. What was the range of f is now the domain of the inverse. Okay, so if we were talking about the range of the function that we see here, we would say that y is greater than 0. Okay, so now, because we've reflected over the line y equals x, that's what an inverse function means. That now means that the domain of the inverse is going to be x is greater than 0. So in other words, your graph, I mean, not that they haven't asked us to draw it, but in other words, your inverse looks like this. So it will be something like that. It's not the best drawing I've ever done. Okay, so like that. Okay, so here, this is going to be where x is greater than 0. Okay, 5.4. Okay, so what you need to do, Isaiah, I hope that's okay, Ayamide. What you need to do is you need to manipulate this 27. So you know that you can write 27 as pleasure, as 3 to the power of 3 over 3 to the power of x. So what happens when you divide like bases? What do? Keep the base and we subtract the exponents. Okay, so in other words, sorry, this is quite small, but I hope you can see what I've done here. So this is also the same as 3 to the minus x plus 3. So what you want to do now is you want to take the negative out, and here in brackets, you're going to write x minus 3. So now, if you have got a base with a negative exponent, we have to rewrite that with a positive exponent. And so we would end up with that. Okay, so it's a whole lot of manipulation that needed to take place. All right, so now that you've done that, now you can go ahead and go and answer the question about the translation. All right, so from F to H, what have we now done? Our original function. So Ayamide, no, is it Ayamide? Who is Isaiah? Okay, so Isaiah, our original function was f of x equals 3 to the minus x, right? So that is the same as y equals 1 over 3 to the x, isn't it? So the only thing that's changed now that we've done all of this manipulation is this minus 3 over here. This. Okay, so what that means to us is that we have taken our original function f, and in order to create h, we have shifted 3 units to the right. Okay, Isaiah, that's what's happened. All right. Greatest pleasure. Okay, so now you guys can finish off 5.5. Got any questions? Just shout. And you use what we've done in question 5.4, by the way, to 5.5. With pleasure and Paul, not a problem at all. So everybody else, you just, no problem, Leander. Okay, so yeah, I obviously explained it while you were still thinking about the other questions. It's not a problem. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rub that off, and then I'll just work through it again. Okay. Luyanda and Impor, are you both okay with the idea that the graph that we can see here is the graph y equals 1 over 3 to the x? You know why it's like that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So that's it, because that's what we're comparing it against. Okay. So what we're doing when we work with h of x is this. Let's just get a different color. Okay. So h of x is 27 over 3 to the x. So straight away, you know that 27 can be written as 3 to the power of 3, right? So let's do that. So 3 to the power of 3 over 3 to the power of x. Because remember, I can only... Does that make sense?
Ma'am, I was asking for 5.3, not...
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant 5. I beg your pardon. I'm so glad you stopped me. Okay, no problem. I beg your pardon. Okay, so what I was saying with that particular question is, when you are working with a function and its inverse, you are reflecting over the line y equals x. So in other words, if I was to write down the domain of this current function and its range, okay, its domain I would write as x is an element of the real numbers, and I would say that y is greater than 0. Okay, so that's the domain, and that's the range. When I reflect a line over the line, when I reflect over the line y equals x, what was the domain of the original function is now the range of the other function. Okay, because remember, x and y have swapped around.
Yes.
Okay, so now my domain of my inverse function is going to be what my range was. But our domain is in terms of x. So that's why it's x is greater than 0. And not that they asked you for this, they didn't. But if you were to write the range, you'd say y is an element of the real numbers. Okay. Right. And there would be 2 accuracy marks on that. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
I beg your pardon for explaining 5.4. No problem. Okay. Is everybody finished with 5.5? Am I pushing you too fast? Okay, so Benedict 5.4 again, not a problem. Okay, so Ayamida, you finished. Okay, so just very quickly. Okay, so Benedict, let's just fly through this, all right? And then we're going to go and finish all the other things that we were doing. Okay, so h of x, Benedict, is 27, and you know that 27 can be written as 3 cubed. We want to try and write 27 in terms of base 3, because we can only work with exponents when our bases are the same. Our bases have to be the same, okay? So that means that when our bases are the same and we're dividing like bases, we're going to keep the base and we're going to subtract our exponents. So this becomes 3 minus x. So what you need to do is you need to swap those two terms around, and then you need to factorize out the negative. Okay, so in brackets, it will now be x minus 3, because a negative times a negative is a positive. When you have a base with a negative exponent, we write it as 1 over the base, and we make the exponent positive. So now, Benedict, what we are doing is we are comparing what it was originally, which was this, with this. Okay, can you see the bases are the same? So the only thing that's changed is here, all right? This was plus 0, now it's minus 3. So this minus 3 over here means that it has shifted to the right. Okay, I know that was very fast. Sorry, I just want to get on to the other questions. And then as far as 5.5 is concerned, did you guys get x is greater than 3 as your answer? So you did, Iomedia. Okay, great. Live, yes. Can you see the answers? Neopat's saying, let me just check. I think I did. Oh, yes, I did. There we go. Okay, so in 5.1, A was 0 and 1. In 5.2, B was minus 2 and 9. 5.3, we've spoken about, so x is greater than 0. 5.4, we've also spoken about, so shifted 3 units to the right. Okay, and then in question 5.5. Okay, that's why x is greater than 3. Is everybody happy with that? There you go. You can see 5.3. Okay, can we move on? 5.2 is minus 2 and 9. Pleasure. Can we move on now? I'm assuming so. All right. So very, very quickly, just back up here to what we had done last night. Okay. The process with that other question, where is it? There it is. Okay. The process with that other question, if you recall, do you remember here we were trying to work out the coordinates at the point of contact, all right? If h of x was a tangent to f. Do you all remember we had made the two functions equal? We'd got everything over to the left-hand side, as we have done over here. And then we did an interpretation because it said tangent. So that's why we said delta is equal to 0 for equal roots. And then we worked out the value of k. So if we take k and we sub that back in, remember on our right-hand side, we had 2x minus 9 plus k. So if I write plus 9, then it's just going to be 2x on its own, which means that I need to do a solution for x when the parabola 1/2 x plus 5 squared minus 8 was equal to 2x. Right? And then if you solved for that, if you solved for x, you would have ended up with a perfect square trinomial, which is what you would have expected. So in other words, that line over there, x squared plus 6x plus 9. And then when we factorize, it becomes x equals negative 3. And then when we sub back in to 2x, because that's the easier one to sub in, right? That's why y is equal to minus 6. Okay, so I know we kind of finished quite quickly there last night. I just wanted to point that out to you. Is that okay? Can I move on to the next thing? Is that making sense? Okay, so Irida, you said yes. The rest of you, how do you feel? Cool, Karen. Okay, perfect, Isaiah. All right, let's get, I trust, guys, if you've got a question that you'll stop me. Okay, please do. All right, so let's go back to our lesson today. And let's go and look at the next thing. Okay, so this was the next graph I wanted us to look at. Okay. Okay, so if we look here, we can see that we have got a graph g of x, 2 over x plus p plus q, and then we've got f of x equals log base 3x, and a whole bunch of information. So y equals -1 is the horizontal asymptote, b, which has the coordinates 1 and 0, is the x-intercept of f, a with coordinates t for x, and 1 is a point of intersection between f and g. The vertical asymptote of g intersects the x-axis at E and the horizontal asymptote at D. And the other bit of important information that they give us is that OB equals OE. All right, so now, again, would you prefer me to be quiet and just allow you to work through the questions? Because that's what you prefer. I'm more than happy to do that. Okay. Nope. Okay. So Neopetseng, I'm sure you can do at least the first 2 questions on your own. What do you think? So it's range and the equation of G. It's just a hyperbola. Okay. Just give it a try. Even if you don't get it right, it's not the end of the world. And of course, if you get stuck, just ask me, okay? But just try it on your own. Okay, so I'm just checking in. Is everybody okay? Are there any questions? Okay, so Ayamida, you said you need help with finding the value of P. Okay, so that's question 5.2 then, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okie dokes, let's have a look at what we've got. All right, so if you have a look, they have told us. So first of all, let's just look at it this way, okay? What does the letter P represent?
The vertical asymptote.
Indeed, it does. Okay. Now, what's really important here, and you probably didn't realize this in the beginning, Ayamida, when you were reading it, is this last little bit of information over here where they told you that OB equals BE. That's actually what you need to be able to solve this question, right? So when they tell you that OB equals BE, so OB is 1 unit long. So if it's 1 unit from O to B and another 1 unit from B to E, what are they trying to tell you about the X at E or the X at D? This has to be the line X equals?
2.
Indeed. Okay, so it has to be the line X equals 2. So it comes from here, right? So now, then another little trick. What is the value of P? Is P equal to 2?
Yeah.
No. P is equal to?
-2.
Okay, because the graph has been shifted to the right. Okay, so that can also be a little bit confusing because over here, I mean, in standard form, it obviously is A over X plus P plus Q. All right, so P is equal to -2 in this case. Indeed, Isaiah. Okay, you all right again? You happy to carry on? Pleasure, I am eating. So again, I'm going to leave you to work quietly. Please ask me if you're stuck. Okay, so anybody need any assistance? For 5.3, is the answer 3? Yes. I also got T is equal to 3 in your percent. Yes. 2 ways you can answer that question. Either you can use logs or you can use the G of X. Well done. Good girl. Well done. That's great. Okay, so onwards and upwards, on to 5.4.
Ma'am, how did you get the x is equals to 3 for t?
For T, not a problem. Okay, so CP is also asking y equals 3 exponent. Is it correct, ma'am, for 5.4? So yes, I also got y equals 3. Yeah, the exponent would be 1. Yeah, no, that's correct to CP. Okay, so now for the question with regards to T, there are 2 ways you can choose to answer this question. Do you see that point A is a point on both functions? So you could actually use either one to be able to answer the question. You may be more comfortable with working with the hyperbola than you are with the log graph, but the log one is actually the quicker one. But anyway, never mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scoot this over just a little bit over here, right? Is that right? Are you more comfortable with the hyperbola?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no problem. All right. So at A, x is equal to t and y is equal to 1. So we know that g of x is the function 2 over x minus 2 minus 1. Did you get that as well for 5.2?
Yes, I did.
Lovely. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to sub in this point. So I'm going to replace y with 1. And I'm going to replace x with t. I know. Hey, how easy is that? I know. It's just something so simple. Hey, but anyway, there you go. All right. So that's how you'd work out what t is. You can also use logs if you want, but that's probably the.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start writing the answers that I got down, and then hopefully you got the same answers as me, just while you're finishing off. Are you on to question 5.5 or 5.6 by now? Okay, so there are the answers up to 5.4. Okay, so 5, please help with 5.6. Okay, not a problem. All right, so when it came to question 5.5, this is what I got as my answer. I got x is smaller than 1, like that. I hope you guys got the same thing. All right, I thought that question 5.6 would be a little bit more of a difficult question, right? When they talk about the point of intersection of the graphs f and the axis of symmetry of G that has a negative gradient. Okay, the graph that has the line that has an axis of symmetry that has a negative gradient, this is something that you need to learn. Okay, so all hyperbolas have two axes of symmetry. Okay, so they have an axis of symmetry with a positive gradient, so that can be written as the line y equals x plus k. The gradient is always positive 1. Okay, or the line that has the axis of symmetry with a negative gradient, that can always be written as y equals minus x plus k. You never have to calculate the gradient. It never changes. It's always either positive 1 or negative 1, right? So they have asked us for the line with a negative gradient, so this is what we want to do, okay? Your line, whether it has a positive gradient or a negative gradient, it will always go through what I like to refer to, but I mean, this is not a thing, is the new origin. Okay, so in other words, with our hyperbola, our graph here, this particular one, it has been shifted to the right and it's been shifted down. So our origin is not at 0 and 0 anymore. D is now the new origin and its coordinates are 2 and -1. So there's your x and y to sub in. Okay, so if you learn this, it's so quick and easy. So yeah, subbing in, that gives us -1 equals -2 plus k. So k has to be equal to 1. So therefore the equation of this line, it is the line y equals -x plus 1. Okay, the point of intersection of graphs f and the axis of symmetry, that is at D, where the coordinates are 2 and -1. Not the most amazing question, asking two things in one, but anyway, there we go. All right, so that's what they're after. Is everybody okay with that?
Ma'am?
Yes.
Can I please ask for 5.1? Is it okay if we say that y is less than negative, should be greater than -1?
You can't, no, unfortunately not. Okay, and the reason for that is because this is a hyperbola. Okay, so you've got an arm of the hyperbola that's down here at the bottom. Ah, that's not what I wanted. You've got an arm of the hyperbola that's down here at the bottom. And you've got another arm of the hyperbola that's over there. All right. So the idea is that this goes all the way down to -infinity. But as it comes up the other way, as it approaches -1, it turns off to the left-hand side. All right. And it gets closer and closer and closer to -1, but it can never ever get through -1. Okay. This line, should we continue it up this way, it would go all the way to +infinity. But the same idea, if we come down here, we get closer and closer and closer to where y is equal to -1, but we never ever get there. So in other words, we're including every single y value from +infinity to -infinity, except where y is equal to -1. Okay, so it's not like an exponential function. where it just has a horizontal asymptote. This has been sketched. There is an arm sketched above the asymptote, and there's also an arm sketched below the asymptote. So that's why you can't do that in this case. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Pleasure, no problem. All right, is everybody happy to move on? All right, let's see what else we've got going on here. Okay. So here is, I trust you'll stop me if you need to. So here is another question. I'm hoping that we'll be able to get through all of this lesson. We really are flying. Here's another question that I found for you. And this is a parabola and a hyperbola mixed. Okay, so they've told you that f of x is x squared plus bx minus 3, g of x is a over x plus p. Please notice the value of q is 0. So they've only shifted left and right. They haven't shifted up and down. So the line y equals 0 will be our horizontal asymptote. It's told us f has a turning point at c. That's obviously very important. It passes through the x-axis at 1. D is the y-intercept of both graphs. They also intersect one another at E and then again at J. The vertical asymptote of G passes through the x-intercept of F. All right, so that's obviously important. Okay, so now let's pile into the questions. Write down the value of P. And then the next question, show that A equals 3 and B equals 2. You're not allowed to sub in, okay? So that's for 4.2. You can't sub in. Again, do you want me to leave you to work a little bit and you'll stop me if you need help? Is that okay? Perfect. All right, off you go. Okay, don't mean to interrupt your train of thought, but I obviously just want to communicate with you. Is everything going okay? Are there any questions? Are you fine? Thanks, Ayomide. Sure, Zio, not a problem. Okay, so if you're managing on your own, just try not to listen to what I'm saying. Just keep doing your own work. Zio, not a problem. Okay, so with a question like 4.2, you may not sub in that A is 3 or B is 2. You've got to answer that question like you don't know what A and B are. So you've got to arrive at the answer A equals 3. You have to arrive at the answer B equals 2. If you sub in, they won't even mark it. Okay, so let's go and have a look, all right? So A belongs to the hyperbola, all right? B belongs to the parabola. So let's go and have a look at the information that they have given us, right? From question 4.1, Isaiah, what did you get was the value of P? Because we're going to need that in the next question. What did you get for P? Indeed, I got the same answer. Okay, so I also got that P was equal to -1. All right, so that means as far as G of X is concerned, G of X is A over X minus 1. All right, now we need to go and have a look. Is there a point? Because in order to solve for A, I need an X and a Y, right? So now, is there a point that's been given to me that lies on the line? So if I have a look up here, there's J, but I don't know what the coordinates of J are, right? I or L, whatever that is, I can't see. No, that's 1. Sorry, that's a 1. That doesn't lie on our line. So coming back down here, oh, D. Do we know what the coordinates of D are? Have they been given to us, but just in a hidden way? What are the coordinates of D? You know, Isaiah, the coordinates of D? So, Isaiah, you're quiet now. I don't know if you're busy writing. We need the There we go. Oh, sorry. I'm chasing you. Perfect. I beg your pardon. Quite right. Beautiful. Okay, so there's your X and your Y. Go sub them in. Okay, up here. All right, and then you'll see you'll get the same answer for A. Everything's still okay. Pleasure, Zanga, no problem. Cool, I'm glad. Okay. Can you all just quickly pop into the chat? Which number are you busy with? I just want to see where you're at. Sorry, I know I'm interrupting you. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so 4.4, 4.3. Okay, so in 4.4, you're asking me, what did I get? Yes, Aimida, that's right. I'm assuming, hang on a second, because yes, that's right. Okay, so yeah, Aimida, you're right about your interval notation. And then, ma'am, 4.3 is at -1 -4. Yes, that's exactly what I got as well. Okay, C pair, I also got -1 -4. Sorry, I didn't want to put the answers up in case you guys hadn't finished, but yes, quite right. Okay, so good stuff. Well done, Matrix. Right, we've only got 6 minutes left. Sure, Neopating. Okay, so everybody else, if you're still busy, we've only got 4 minutes to go, so I'm going to have to do this quite quickly. Okay, so you want to calculate the coordinates at C. So Neopating, what is C? C is the what of the parabola? Exactly, all right? So when we want to work out the coordinates at the turning point, well, I mean, there's 4 ways that we can actually do this. Right? We don't want to complete the square if we don't have to ever. But either we can use calculus, or if you already know from your equation, you know that the value of B was 2, don't you? So here you know that B is equal to 2. So you know that your graph of f of x, that's it, negative b over 2a. Quite right, Benedict. Yeah. So x equals negative b over 2a. And then whatever you get from that, you're going to sub in f of whatever into the equation. Okay, good, Benedict. Well done. You could also derive if you wanted. Okay, so take the derivative, make it equal to 0, solve for x, and then sub it and solve for y. That would be another alternative.
Ma'am?
4.6.
Yes. My answer is no, but I'm not sure the reason of the reason.
Okay, I agree with you. The answer is no. All right, so if the line goes through C, then this particular line is also going to go through point D as well. Okay, so what was the equation of the line? The line was the equation y equals?
Y is equals to x minus 3.
Beautiful. Okay, so at D, what are the coordinates at D? 0 and -3, isn't it? Okay, so if the line goes through C and D, it can't be a tangent to the function. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that would be your reason. So you would end up saying no for 1 mark, and then you would say that because the line goes through C and D, so it cuts the parabola in 2 places, not just in 1 place.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, are there any other questions, Matrix? Should I quickly, so the range, our time just goes by so fast. I wish we had all night. Okay, so the range, you should have said y is greater than or equal to -4. Then in question 4.5, you might have heard me talking. So in question 4.5, you were supposed to get the line y equals x minus 3. And then for question 4.6, because this invisible line, okay, it goes through C and it goes through D. D is its y-intercept, and it goes through C. Okay, so the reason why it can't be a tangent is because it goes through the graph twice. So no intersects graph twice. Okay, so once at C and again at D. Okay, Matrix, are there any other questions that you'd like to ask me before we close off? Okay, you didn't sub in A is 3 or B is 2 in question 4.2. Okay, any other questions, Matrix? All righty, CP. Cool, thank you. Okay, since it's 7 o'clock, I'm going to hand, it's a pleasure, CP, my greatest pleasure. I'm going to hand back to Coco now. Okay. Well done, everybody. Great work.
I think Mpho may have had a question. I think we may have interrupted.
Oh, I didn't see Mpho's question.
Or do you still have a question?
Yes, ma'am. I was just asking to see the memo if that's possible.
Yes, I have got the memo right here.
Oh,
okay. There you
Thank
go.
you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, I think we should keep it on there for just a minute or two, and then
yes, that's fine. Can everybody see it? And I'll just grab that bit over. There we go. Okay, so there you can see where the marks were allocated as well.
thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Pleasure, pleasure. All right, are there any other questions? Was everybody sorted? Okay, I'll take your silence to mean that it's okay. All right, so I'm going to hand over to Coco now. Well done, Matrix.
Awesome, guys. Remember, if you're looking for the questions or the memo, they are all on the app. Just go to exam revision. I'll be showing you guys how to get there in just a bit. Okay. I'm just going to share my screen quickly, just so we get on the same page. Oh, goodness. Let's take that away. Okay. I think I may be on the wrong slide. Okay. So guys, this is where we are so far. We are on lesson 4 for Thursday. And then again, note, guys, we are not here tomorrow. We're not here on Friday. We are back again at 10 o'clock on Saturday for calculus and then for probability and fundamental accounting principle. So if you show up tomorrow, none of us are going to be here. Please make sure you're not here. Okay, but at 6 p.m., they are having the maths anxiety workshop. So you guys will get the Zoom link for that, and you guys can join that if you'd like. Okay, the homework that we're going to be doing for today, again, we're just going to click on topic on the app, go to exam revision, and we're going to be looking at 2017 paper 1 again, and this time we'll be looking at question 5 rather than question 4. So this one will be specifically on the types of questions that you were doing today again. All right, guys, maths anxiety workshop, 6 p.m. I'm pretty sure they'll send you an invite on the Watobi app a couple minutes before so that you guys can join. Okay, so just look out for them on your messages. Okay, and that is all we have time for today. It has been great having you guys with us this week. We will see you guys on Saturday for the last leg of paper 1. And then next week, we will have Teacher Depeche teaching paper 2. So you guys will get to go through paper 2 as well. Okay, thanks so much, guys. If you have any more questions, we're here for a couple more seconds. Say bye-bye, and we'll see you guys on Saturday morning.
Bye.
Bye. Well done. Well done.
Bye.
Bye. Well done.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Dino. Thanks for joining.
Bye.